What is going on, you guys? My name is Marcus, and this is going to be my very first theory on the channel. It is my belief that I found the origin source of the symbol from Generation Lost and what it represents in the overarching story. But before we get to that, I have a quick message to make. As a disclaimer, the video was created to further support the theory already established by MatPat in game theory, while also adding some information that might explain where and how the emblem came to be what it is now. And with that out of the way, let's begin. It is already established that Ronbu created an ARG by the name of Generation Lost. The term Generation Lost is that in analog recording, there is a progressive loss of quality that occurs every time a tape, film, or vinyl disc is copied. The problem of generation loss has been reduced but not eradicated in digital media, meaning that every time something is copied from the copy, more details get lost each time. And with that explanation out of the way, we can dive down into the topic, which is generation loss and their video on the channel, which right now you can find one 28-second video. In this video, you can find a couple of images that have been edited by Generation Lost and a weird symbol in some of them. From those images, these are the ones with the symbols on them, and these are the ones that have one censor bar over people's faces. Finding those original images and when they are taken, you get these dates. From here, we can remove this one since it's the newest and it doesn't have much relation to the theory nor to the next chapter, the inauguration. And this one, we can remove it as well since no established date can be found, so we are left with just these three. Putting them in order, we get this, a photo from Richard Potter between the 1830s and 1840s, a psychologist's classroom from 1879, and one last image which looks like a normal classroom from 1947. Now that we have all the dates established, we can then infer that Generation Lost was created in the earliest time that we have from this, meaning that at some point during the 1830s and 1840s, or close to them, Generation Lost was created. But before we get to the explanation on how it was created and for what reason, I must first agree with the findings from MatPat and his team on game theory. They found that it all had to do with memories, more specifically with alteration of events and how this faction can make others believe a different version. Hence the name Generation Lost. It is the loss of details, or in this case, information, as more misinformation on the events gets spread around, implying that their goal is to alter the perception of historical events. And this has significant relation to the images. How do I know this? Well, first, it is my belief that after the first successful alteration of history, they began to study this phenomenon as it can be interpreted by the image of a psychology classroom, trying to find the right set of circumstances in order to successfully do it once more. And then, in later years, the true historical events were lost, and their new perspective is being taught in its place. Hence the symbol on the chalkboard, representing a new view already being implemented onto the population. But what was their first successful alteration, and where did the symbol come from? Well, we can see this in the last image we saw. Richard Potter, during this period alongside other civilians, were fighting back against the corrupted government on the 16th of August in 1819 in St. Peter's Square. Here, a protest emerged in the name of liberty and freedom from poverty. However, the cavalry was summoned by the government in order to eradicate the situation. An estimate 18 people, including women and children, died from saber cuts and trampling. Over 700 men, women and children received extremely serious injuries. How is any of this related to the symbol or the next chapter? Well, looking at the symbol, I noticed that this part looked like a starting point on a marathon. And when I looked at the map from St. Peter's Square, it all made sense. You still don't see it? Let me adjust it like this. It is clear that the cavalry came from this starting point and moved along these lines as they were trampling through the civilians. After it was all done, they successfully tricked the media and the civilians into believing that they were sent to calm the situation and that no such massacre occurred. These people then made the organization or inaugurated the Generation Lost faction and adopted the trajectory taken by the cavalry as their symbol of success and power over history. In the end, this faction of Generation Lost is an extreme and cruel view on the famous quote, "History is written by the victors," implying that the winners, or in this case, the survivors, are the ones that tell how the events happened and how they won, giving ample room for false information to be introduced. By doing so, they can trick new generations of people into believing that some sides were more malicious or righteous than what they appeared to be. In Chapter 2, I hope we can see more on their first successful alteration and see if we were correct with our theory. So, there you have it, my view on Generation Lost and how they successfully change history and are in the search for more power over their people. If you like my video, make sure to subscribe. I'm already working on another theory for Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Kingdom and Sword Art Online. And while you wait for those theories, check out some of my other videos. I make commentaries on indie games and mashups of things that have happened to me while I play. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. See ya guys.